going on, guys? It's your boy John, aka JonnyMamba. Name with respect to the legend right there. What I'm coming at you guys with today is a draft recap. As you can see, I'm a Packers fan. I am mind blown at what we just did in this draft. So I'm gonna put the pieces together on what the Packers did. I'm gonna get some of my friends on the line. We're gonna run through some of their favorite teams. We're gonna see who was our favorite, who we thought had the best draft, who we thought had the worst draft, all kinds of different stuff. So if you guys haven't already, if you could go down in the box below and give me a subscribe, and if you could like or share the video if you feel compelled to, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, I'm gonna timestamp the description down below. If you just want to look for your favorite team, if we talk about we're not gonna get to all 32 teams. But if we talk about your favorite team, I'll try to timestamp it down in the box below if you just want to skip ahead to that part in the video. With all that being said, I'm going to get my buddies on the line. We're going to have a conversation. I made a quick little intro thing. While I get these guys on the phone, I ring them up. So enjoy that, and then I'll get these guys on the line. We'll get right into the podcast.
The first pick in the 2020 draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow. The Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa. The Las Vegas Raiders select Henry Ruggs. New England Patriots have traded the 23rd pick.
I feel shocked.
The Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Oh, Pepper Brooks leading us in with some solid quotes. Guys, I got my boys Nate and Eric on the line. What's going on, guys?
How's it going, man?
What's up,
Big
babe?
things happening.
What's up, Big Nate? What's up, Rick?
How's it going, man?
What's up, buddy? So, Nate, you're a Raiders fan, so let's just hop right into the Raiders. Give me a breakdown of what you thought of their first couple rounds of picks.
Absolutely loved the first round. A lot of people right off the bat thought Judy or CD were going to be our choices there.
Mm-hmm.
When you break down our offensive set right now and the different players we have, Ruggs works so much better in this system when you compare his speed, his cutting ability, his size. He is Antonio Brown. Hopefully just not with any of the mental and emotional baggage that comes with it. But last year, the offense was designed to have a speedy, all-out, just throw it up if you have to, go-to guy that he was supposed to be. Things didn't pan out, but we were able to find him here to go with Williams, who's more of a stand-up, plays more like a Cooper, Amari Cooper. You know, if I had to pick a guy, he's not quite as jukey and jivey. Hunter Renfrow is an awesome slot receiver for us.
Yeah, he is.
We just keep stacking up on Clemson guys. It's our second round pick in the draft, the offensive guard. This dude right here, with John Simpson is his name. He's supposed to be the best lineman out of Clemson in school history. That's what that school says about him. So he obviously is going to take Gabe Jackson's spot. Gabe Jackson's great. Right now, we have 90 guys signed to the roster, which that has to get cut down immensely, come season time. But we're probably going to, and we're over the cap right now too, I believe. We're going to get rid of a couple guys to start sitting down. We beefed up our wide receiver room. This is going to either expose Derek Carr or give him every possible reason to succeed. And I really think it's kind of they love the guy, and everybody in Raider Nation won't say anything neat about his character. The division is, does the guy have what it takes in a tough moment to take the ball and run, which he's been very skittish to since he broke his leg in 2016, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's been a process, but the Ohio State D-back, that was a great pickup. He obviously was
Arnett?
Not the most touted. Yeah, I think Arnett is great. Chris Carter's son.
Yep.
He's going to have an amazing role model to keep him in line in the league. I think his tenacity is what Gruden loved. A lot of people, you can't write that stat down on a piece of paper. Level of 1 to 100, how angry he gets and how vicious he plays. That's the idea why they took him, because him back there with Mullen and Abram, they are going to be menaces to society.
Yeah,
So
Abrams is a hard hitter.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he tore his labrum in the first game last year and kept playing and kind of was upset that they ended up obviously shutting him down for the season. But I think for the pieces we had that we needed yet, those were all met. There are teams that had more of a big step in the draft, that had a bigger draft, like Dallas or Denver, where they had guys that really picked up, they're going to help them. We just needed a few pieces that I think take us to a 10-6, 11-5 team, and maybe not take the division yet from Kansas City, but be a wild card team.
Yeah, wild card for sure. The one thing I'll say about the Damon Arnett pick, like I don't know what he could turn out to be a really good pick. I just think that the value that you got him at was probably not, ideal. I think you probably could have got somebody else, or you could have traded down and made more value out of the pick than drafting him there.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea. He could turn out to be a really great player. I have no idea. But I just think for where he got drafted, I don't know if that was the value that you could get more value out of that spot. But I like the Henry Ruggs pick. Like you said, he fits really well in their system. But yeah, what else? Anything else you got to say about the Raiders?
I think that's going to be a lot of people's take on it, and I agree with you on that. It's that one part in the back of your head. You're like, Mike Mayock nailed the draft last year for him.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously has that job, and I don't for many reasons. But it's like you trust the guy, and he's been awesome so far. So hopefully there's method to the madness.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah, we shall see. I think the Raiders are going to be an interesting team to look at coming into the year. I think they have a really good chance at the wild card. But all right, well, Rick, me and you are both Packers fans. We sat here on Thursday night in agony while everybody was laughing. Tell me what you think about the Jordan Love pick, and then consecutively the A.J. Dillon pick as well.
Yeah, when I look at these two picks, it's tough to figure out which one's worse. It's really difficult to figure out which one of these picks is worse. Because, with Jordan Love, at least we have that little bit in the back of our minds, hey, maybe in 5 years this guy turns out to be a stud, what kind of happened with Rodgers. Not that I think that he's the same thing that's coming out of college that Rodgers was at that time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
That's kind of a joke to think when you're seeing we were talking the other day and you said Rodgers was a potential number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, top 10.
And he fell to us. That's one of those you take a gamble on, where this guy is throwing 17 picks at Utah State his senior year, and then I don't know. It's a big gamble to do with your first-round pick when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback sitting there leading your team, and he's won 1 Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
1 Super Bowl with this guy.
Yep.
Come on, we got to get weapons now. We got to win now. We don't know that Jordan Love's going to turn out. We have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Yep.
Give him weapons.
Yep. I agree.
And then
go ahead.
A.J. Dillon, who knows?
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's
one
dumb.
thing I'll say about Jordan Love, one thing I'll say, people keep comparing Jordan Love to Aaron Rodgers. When we drafted Aaron Rodgers, we had so many weapons for Brett Favre. We drafted Javon Walker in the first round in 2002. We had Bubba Franks, Amon Green, Donald Driver. We had so many weapons for Brett Favre. That was never an issue. Okay? Also, so we weren't sitting there like, oh, we have nothing. And now we're sitting here with one of the best wide receiver classes in a long time, and we don't even walk away with 1 wide receiver in the whole draft. That just blows my mind how you could be that. Jordan Love might turn out to be a really great player. These guys better hope so, because with the value that they just put on this pick, he has to turn in at least a multi-time all-pro quarterback, if not a Hall of Fame quarterback. And another thing.
The pressure that's on this guy right now.
Oh yeah, he has so much pressure on him. But we also, another thing that's different, we didn't trade a 4th-round pick to move up to get Aaron Rodgers. A 4th-round pick, that's a good pick. People don't value a 4th round. That's a big pick. That's a great pick to fill your roster with. And we just wasted it to move up for a guy that is going to play in at best 4 years. Aaron Rodgers in 3 years is an $18 million cap hit on our team.
Okay, the odds that we don't play him that year are very low. Okay, so he's going to play for at least 3 years. So 4 years from now, maybe Jordan Love will play, maybe. Okay, and I understand people. Oh, you ensure your quarterback play for another decade. You can do that in other ways. There's other ways to do that. We could do that next year. We could do that the year after. It didn't have to be right now. We were 1 game away from the Super Bowl with hardly any offensive weapons. And we signed Devin Funchess in free agency. I'm not a huge Devin Funchess believer. He might be a good 3rd, 4th receiver. But when you're drafting in the first round, and you have the ability to move up to get a guy like CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson that are just hanging there, that are kind of falling.
T. Higgins was still on the board.
You got it. Yeah. Oh, or you could have just stayed where you were and drafted T. Higgins.
I'll tell you what. If we drafted T. Higgins with that pick, and then Jordan Love with the pick, we got A.J. Dillon, I'm happy. Really, I'm happy because the A.J. Dillon pick to me is just an annoying Packers tendency of when we get good players, we're afraid to pay them money, which I don't understand how Nick Perry ended up getting paid what he was getting paid at Green Bay. But A.J. Dillon just says we're afraid that Aaron Jones is going to price himself out of Green Bay next year, that we're going to be reluctant to pay him.
Yep.
The tight end pick is a waste.
Yep.
But then
the same guy last year.
Kamal Martin, I think great value at that pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was
probably our best pick of the draft.
Yeah, that was a good pick. And
John Runyon.
Yep. And Garvin. I liked Garvin too.
Yeah, thank God we got a couple of late rounds. Hopefully
keep in mind
solid.
too, guys. A.J. Dillon, Boston College had 2 or 3 first-team all-conference linemen last year.
Yeah.
Penn State signed Troutwine. He brought in a lot of expertise, so he's coming from behind a pretty decent line. Not to say yours is good or bad, but if you have
good for running.
there.
Well, he's in a really
we have
bad
a better
conference
pass
too.
blocking line than we do a running.
Yeah. I mean, the Runyon pickup, I think, is great. CBS Sports has the Packers, he's the first B or higher rated pick, and he's in the 6th round.
Yeah.
But still, though, that you need that there. It definitely, and I had told John this yesterday, from an outside point of view of Green Bay, it just seems like either the new regime and Rodgers just do not get along at all, and it's like, we know you're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like past regime and Favre. We want to stamp on our own thing. You've been able to win with basically nothing. We'll have to keep doing it and making us all this, money and, putting up the wins, but we're going to prep for when you're gone.
Yeah.
And
I think there's a weird development. I think when Rodgers retires, we're going to find more out about what's been going on in the Packers locker room and between Rodgers and our front office. Because like you said, there's just seems to be that tension, that distrust there. That just neither of them seems Rodgers has stayed with the Packers, but he doesn't seem to be like Brett Favre would have died for the Green Bay Packers in his prime. You know what I mean? He was that organization. Where Rodgers is still the face of our organization, but it's almost like an unwillingness. He's I'm the face of the Packers, but I'm also the face of State Farm. He doesn't care. That's what it means to him kind of deal to me. It's kind of weird.
And that is kind of depressing, to look at it that way. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's an awesome quarterback. I feel like he's going to pull Montana, though, and he has, 1 year left?
No, he has. He just signed a 4-year contract, dude. He's 4 years left
did?
on his contract.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Then who am I thinking of in that? There's 1 year left to quarterback, too.
Either
way, yeah.
My thing with Rodgers is, I don't know. He had a tough year last year. He definitely had a down year for Aaron Rodgers' standards. He had a brand new offense, first-year coach. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a lot different. Hopefully this year he'd have a better year. I mean, he's talked about wanting to play till he's in his 40s at some points, too. So, I don't know what to think of it. I don't know. With these moves, though, I don't know how you're not sending the message to him that, we are pushing you out, kind of. By the time Jordan Love would play, he'd be on his second contract. Yeah.
One of the scariest things is Rodgers having a Brett Favre ending to his career and just coming and haunting us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally
like,
agree.
Because to me, Rodgers needs a chip on his shoulder. When he first got the job in Green Bay, he came in with that chip on his shoulder because everybody wanted Favre. He had to prove himself. He had to do stuff. And then once he got that Super Bowl, once he got to the point where he is, he's just kind of been coasting off of all that.
Yeah.
But that's a rabbit hole we just went down there.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next team, the Packers. I hope everything works out for the best, but I do not have a lot of faith in this draft. But hopefully Jordan Love proves us wrong. But what's that name?
What do you guys think of? This is the last thing on the Raiders, but to cap the Khalil Mack trade, what we got out of that is Josh Jacobs and David Arnett. Now, a lot of people obviously ripped us about letting him go when the guy wasn't going to play. He's going to sit out the entire time and just act a fool, which he's allowed to.
Yeah.
We had to take the highest bidder we can get for him. Jacobs is an absolute stud. He was awesome to have on the team.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's going to be good for a long time.
Just a good attitude. He's not going to get in trouble. He was so shy. He wasn't even in Hard Knocks barely because he didn't want his face here on TV. He's shy.
Yeah.
So that and Arnett, I think, it's going to take a year or two to really show the value, but it won't be as big as the Herschel Walker to Minnesota trade, obviously, but I definitely think there's some all-pro between both of them. It's going to be worth that.
Yeah, well said. All right, well, let's move on to the guy that got drafted that we were hoping the Packers would trade up for, the Cowboys. I'm shocked the Cowboys did so well with Jerry Jones just being in a room basically by himself and no one telling him. Like, it kind of shocks me. I was like, man, the Cowboys are in trouble. Nobody's around Jerry Jones. And they got so lucky, first of all, that CeeDee Lamb just fell right into their lap. But what a great pick by the Cowboys to, they had other needs. Wide receiver wasn't. I was sitting there watching. I'm like, CeeDee Lamb would be a good pick, but that's not really their biggest need, kind of. But it's a great pick by the Cowboys. And then I also like their second round pick they had with that cornerback
Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, Trayvon Diggs from Alabama. Great pick there too. Two big needs for the Cowboys that they needed to address that they did. So, what do you guys think?
I think the Cowboys had a great draft. Obviously they did. CeeDee Lamb adding into that offense is so unreal. With you have Amari, CeeDee Lamb, Zeke, is unreal. But now, this season to me gets more interesting for the Cowboys because there's no more excuses. You have
all the pressure.
Such a stacked offense stack. You had that good rookie season. If you don't show out now, I don't know when you will.
The NFL needs to remove the moniker of "We Them Boys" if they don't win a title this year. We'll get it back to you when your clout matches, your play. But
yeah, all the pressure is on them.
I know you two are tired of hearing that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But they literally had all the pressure on them to win this year. If they didn't even win the division last year. And it's
pathetic.
With that much talent. Yeah, people were saying before the year that they had maybe the most talented roster in the league, and it's hard not to be like, yeah, they kind of do, but they just don't perform well on the field. But we'll see with Mike McCarthy instead of Jason Garrett, because I think Jason Garrett lost that locker room 2 or 3 years ago. But we'll see with Mike McCarthy. Maybe
interesting guy.
Yeah, he was good for the Packers in the beginning, but I think he kind of got stale as well. I think that's kind of what happens with a lot of coaches. Their message just kind of gets stale. So we'll see if he can revitalize their locker room.
Have you heard about what McCarthy did with his year off?
No, I didn't.
No.
So McCarthy basically just sat in a room with his time off and was just completely going over old footage, going through the progression of how teams and offenses have progressed over the past couple of years, and kind of trying to figure out where he went wrong with the Packers, where he didn't update like really going back and like really reflecting through a lot of film and stuff, and just totally redesigning like his view of football. Like I think McCarthy's going to be a very interesting guy because I think he sees his mistakes that he made in Green Bay and his mistakes with Rodgers and relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to be interesting to see what changes he'll make to his style and things like that. Like, I think he could be a huge pull-in for the Cowboys because if you look at the Cowboys in history, they're this team that always looks good on paper and never performs.
Yeah.
One year they had, like, 13 guys sent to the Pro Bowl, and they, like, lost first round of playoffs. Like, what? How do you even do this?
Yeah.
It's kind of like University of Kentucky basketball. It's like you have the best recruiting classes every year, and you have a Hall of Fame coach. How do you not just win?
Yep.
Yeah.
Seriously. All right. What about? Let's move on to the next team. Let's move on to. What do you guys think about the Cincinnati Bengals? Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, they got an explosive offense. I will say that they could score some points with A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins. Like, they've got some weapons out there at least. You know.
Yeah.
Well, for their sake, they better make Tyler Boyd happy. He's pretty pissed off last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't
I would
blame
be
him.
too if I won, like, what, they win 2 games, 1 game? He's used to those Clarion days where he's winning 5 years in a row without losing a game back in high school. It's hard to go to a team and not win 2 games in a year.
Yeah, that has
It's
to
humbling.
be mentally, humbling, and that's the attitude people try to create.
What's that?
He had his nice transition to a trash football team at Penn.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. No,
Well, like
go ahead.
the fact that they scooped up T. Higgins at that point in the draft is
Great pick.
yeah. The bad part about I think they had an awesome draft, but like both of you kind of touched on earlier, the Ravens had a good draft.
Yep.
And the Ravens already were awesome.
Yeah.
And now in Cleveland, I think was a C+ draft, but they're another year of continuity, and the Steelers always end up being somewhere around 7 to 9 at the very least. Excuse me. So I definitely think they had it. This is an awesome draft class. Great situation point to start with. A year or two to take it, to see where everybody's at, but that's going to be tough.
It is, yeah. I'm not saying they're going to win the division. I just think they're going to be an
year.
interesting team. I mean, they can't be any worse than they were last year. But like you said, that division had I think that division in general had a great draft. Like the Browns had a good draft from their perspective. They got they got a really solid lineman, which Baker Mayfield runs for his life when he's on that. Last year he was running for his life all season. So they needed to really lock that down. They picked a really good cornerback at LSU in the second round. So I think those are 2 really good picks for the Browns. The Ravens, obviously, J.K. Dobbins in the second round. Who'd they pick in the first round?
Yeah.
Who'd they have in the first round?
The Ravens.
They got Patrick Queen, that linebacker from LSU. Great pick. I was hoping if the Packers didn't pick a wide receiver, that's who I was hoping they'd get a linebacker like Patrick Queen or somebody but a great pick from the Ravens. Great picks out of the Browns even, which is pretty surprising to say. The Browns have actually had, a few drafts in a row here where they're getting off the schneid of being like a complete joke. So,
I really cannot believe that they were able to get J.K. Dobbins in the second round like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think people
55th
understand
pick.
the impact that guy can bring into a team. Like, you look at Ohio State, look at their offense, like when J.K. Dobbins went out this season. Like, their offense was not nearly as dominant, without that run game. He's good in the passing game. He's good in the run game. Like, he's your modern football back that can just, handle a workload for a full game, do everything you need him to do. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can create his runs. He doesn't always need perfect setup. He has good vision. J.K. Dobbins is such a steal. I can't believe. after seeing what these guys are doing to their teams with like Christian McCaffrey, Zeke, Saquon, like all these top running backs, like what they've changed for their offense. Like look at what the Cowboys do when Zeke's out. They're trash. Like when you have a running back like these guys, these multi-dimensional running backs that can dominate, it just totally changes everything for your offense.
Yep.
Such good value.
Their rushing attack is going to be insane with Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, and Lamar Jackson. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
crazy. And you have I think Marquise Brown has a good upside, too, at wide receiver out there. Like, young and talented. And, like, this sounds weird, like, but young, black, and talented. Like, their quarterback, like, they have that mojo. Like, as weird as that is, they have that mojo where, like, they're all, like, for every cause, they see eye to eye. Like, Lamar Jackson is big in the African-American communities. Like, these guys are big in, like, helping African-American communities. Like, they seem like a tight-knit bond at a young age. Like, if they hang on to these players, the Ravens are going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, the Ravens are going to be I think the Ravens are going to be good for years to come. And to touch on the Steelers, because the Steelers, I know they had a really quiet draft. Like, at least the Steelers, like, they had the 18th pick. They traded it to the Dolphins, and they basically got Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think that's, like, really good value if you're a Steelers fan.
Yeah.
Like,
they addressed their need.
Yeah, like, he was safety was a huge need for them. So if they were going with safety and they drafted a guy like Xavier McKinney or something, like, that would have been a fine pick. But they got a guy who's already, like, a proven player in the NFL. They know what he can do, and he already came into their team and had a big impact last year. When they got him last year, he had, like, I don't even know how many interceptions he had, at least 5 or 6. But he had some huge plays for them. So, and they got a decent wide receiver in the second round and an outside linebacker in the third. So we'll see how these guys pan out. But if you said to a Steelers fan, you've got Minkah Fitzpatrick, a wide receiver, and an outside linebacker, that's a pretty solid draft for the Steelers, addressing their needs for sure. All right, well, let's move on to the next. I liked how we did that with, like, that was kind of like a division breakdown. That was kind of, I like that. Let's talk about since we already talked about the Packers, but the NFC North, had a pretty solid draft. The Vikings, besides the Bears didn't really do nothing. They got a tight end in the second round, which is.
10 tight ends now, right?
Yeah, I don't know why they did that, but I think there was a lot better picks. I mean, they could have picked J.K. Dobbins. I mean, I don't know exactly what their needs were because I never pay attention to the Bears because they're the Bears. I could give 2 shits about the Bears. But I just think they could have done better with value at that pick than what they did. So, Rick, talk to me about the Vikings. I know you thought they had a really good draft.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the Vikings had the best draft.
Yeah, definitely up there.
And that's so frustrating.
Unbiased
to
too.
As a Packers fan. Yeah, as a Packers fan. That is so difficult to actually say that the Vikings had the best draft.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when you look at their, like Justin Jefferson, what a great pick.
Mm-hmm.
What a great pick.
At 22.
Like, to replace Stephon Diggs, like you really, like I think Justin Jefferson's going to be better than Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I think he'll be better in their offense because he'll bring some new energy. Stephon Diggs seemed like he just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah, like Cameron Dantzler, great pick. Jeff Gladney, great pick. Like you saw Trey Wayne, Xavier Rhodes, Mackenzie Alexander, Stephon Diggs, they all left the Raiders and the Vikings, and they addressed every single need with the cap. Everything that they lost, they addressed. And they get a good tackle with Ezra Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like,
don't sleep on Kenny. What is his? I watched.
Willicks.
Yeah.
Willicks. Yeah.
The Michigan State kid.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's actually a monster. I think Michigan State has been putting out good defensive players lately.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. Like Michigan State's been very good defensively in the past couple of years in college football.
Yeah,
I'd say the past
agree.
6-7 years, that's been a stronger part of their team.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Their offense has been pretty abysmal the last few years.
And
Michigan State.
one more thing about the Vikings. They had 16 picks.
Yep.
Yeah. 16 picks.
That's just really
and that's one of the things, like, when you're talking about, like, these drafts, you can draft somebody first round. Like, we'll all be sold. I think Justin Jefferson's going to be great, but he might turn out and just be nothing. And that KJ Osborne guy they took, like, when you have that many picks and you draft that much volume, that's when you find your sleepers. You have so much volume to take chances on players that you like things on later rounds. Like, you're more aggressive in your picks, and that's what you need to do in the draft. Too many people try to make, like, the safe pick instead of getting what they need in the draft, looking for the all-star, the superstar, the potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree, and that's another thing. When you draft with that much volume, you just have such an advantage. Like a team like the Packers. I'll go back to the Packers for 1 second. They had 4 picks in the first 4 rounds. Okay, they traded
30th pick of each one.
Yeah, the 30th pick of each one. They had they traded one of those picks to go get a position that they didn't even need and then won't play for 4 years. The second pick, they made another pick that didn't fill any need at all. So we had. And then our third pick was, if we had 5 needs, that was our 5th. Okay. All right. So we needed an offensive tackle, a wide receiver, a linebacker, anything else. You know what I mean? Like, didn't pick one of them with any of our first 4 picks in the draft. That is just completely inexcusable to me. Like, completely inexcusable. And when you don't have any more, when you only have 4 picks, you don't have any room to have an error. You don't have any room for error. You know, once that decision's made, you're done. There's no way you're getting more picks now. You know what I mean? There's no way you're gonna get a boatload of picks now. Like, it's just amazing to me that you could take your first 4 picks and not address one of your top 4 needs. That's just pretty insane to me. But let's talk about the Lions a little bit. The Lions got Jeff Okudah. I think that's a solid pick, and they also got DeAndre Swift. I think those are 2 solid picks from the Lions. Like.
Yeah.
Both players are ready for the NFL. I think DeAndre Swift is an animal in Georgia, and Jeff Okudah. If you're playing in a division with, Aaron Rodgers, and now the Vikings have a bunch of good wide receivers, you need guys that can lock them up. That's for sure, and Jeff Okudah can do that.
Yeah, I think some of the picks we didn't talk about was Isaiah Simmons for the Cardinals. That was a great value pick.
Oh, yeah. Isaiah Simmons was insane value.
Yeah, unbelievable. He was the 8th pick.
Yeah, I was surprised the Giants didn't take him. But, the Giants needed a tackle, so you can't really their two assets are Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. They need to protect those assets, so I kind of understand it. But when a guy like that comes around, I'd take him.
Yeah,
but
I think that the Giants are getting a lot of unnecessary a lot of people are hating on the Giants draft. I think that they did pretty well, actually.
Yeah, their 2nd round pick was awesome. Xavier McKinney.
Xavier
McKinney was awesome in college.
And I'm with you. I wouldn't have taken Andrew Thomas because you have players like Isaiah Simmons out there, but Andrew Thomas is an incredible tackle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're talking about a young quarterback and a young running back that, I'm not a huge Daniel Jones fan, but, your running back right now is has the potential to be one of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
You need to get a line in front of him.
Yep. Yeah, if you get a line in front of him,
they did that.
Yep.
They took 3 linemen in their first, 4 rounds?
Yeah, something like that.
Or 5. They took a corner as well. That Holmes
took
guy.
a safety in round 2. McKinney.
Yeah. McKinney was a corner.
Yeah, Darnay Holmes from UCLA.
Which those aren't bad picks either because, Xavier McKinney and for Landon Collins.
Yeah, Xavier McKinney was a great pick, especially at 36. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's a steal. He was a first-round grade. Like everybody had him going in the first round. But
I would say the Bucs had a kind of a similar draft as the Giants too, for getting that tackle to protect Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bucs did have a solid draft, especially like getting Tristan Wirfs for sure was much needed. Like they need.
Yeah.
And they have a pretty solid line now around Brady. They have like 4 guys returning, I think, and then they'll add that one piece they needed was that right tackle, and that's what they got. So great pick. And that guy's an animal. He's a monster, dude. He's fast, strong. Holy cow! I was really impressed watching him at Iowa.
Yeah, they kind of surprised me. I thought they drafted, honestly, more offensive skill positions than I thought they would. They took, like, 2 running backs and a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't have, like, a great running back. But, like, you have Tom Brady right now with weapons. Like, you're good with offensive weapons.
Yeah.
I think, like, it kind of surprised me a little bit, but, like, the tackles, and I thought, like, getting Khalil Davis was nice. Getting Khalil Davis late for them was nice to get up front in their defensive line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a big pick.
Yeah, for sure. Their defense is I don't know. Their defense is really off and on. They have really good pass rush, but they never stopped anyone last year. But it didn't help that Jameis Winston was throwing pick sixes like every other game. But
Jameis.
I mean, their offense is gonna be explosive, man. Like. Holy cow!
Yeah,
holy.
That Antoine Winfield guy, I forget his name, but he's good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a good safety. Minnesota was a good team.
Yeah. Yeah. Minnesota was a good team.
And they had players like the thing about Minnesota too is you had players that were playing in the Big Ten Conference, and Minnesota's team from top to bottom wasn't necessarily like as strong as they looked. But what they did is they had playmakers, like Winfield.
Yep.
You know, like they relied on those guys big, and they came up in big games against big players and big teams.
Yep.
Like that's awesome to see.
Yep, totally agree, bro. Totally agree. Let's go back to the NFC East. Let's trash the Philadelphia Eagles for a minute, because Oh, Philadelphia! Why did you not? I just wish they would have done it. Like, I'm not an Eagles fan at all. I can't stand them. But why would you not take Justin Jefferson over Jalen Reagor? I don't know how. That's just such an ego pick from a GM. Like, I'm going to show you that I know more than everybody. But Justin Jefferson's he looks like a for sure solid NFL wide receiver. I don't know. What do you guys think about the Eagles draft?
I don't think Jalen Reagor is going to be terrible for him.
Yeah.
I still find myself in the mental block of the Jalen Hurts situation. There were plenty of quarterbacks that you could assign the offseason if having a reliable backup was your idea.
Yeah.
You go draft someone in the second round like him, who was picked to be a second to third, somewhere in there. It depends on the scheme, but you definitely don't see like the offensive set the Eagles run as like a strong point for Hurts either.
Yeah.
It doesn't mesh well unless you're kind of the idea of we think our starter might get hurt, and if he's hurt, maybe we need someone that's able to adjust more on the fly, spread an offense out a little more, kind of do what he did at Oklahoma. I'm kind of an advocate for being against Big 12 play. It's a ton of arcade style football, no defense. It's like why my CeeDee Lamb take to the Raiders is skewed, because I'm like, all of his half of them are after the plays broke down and he just scoots loose on broken coverage.
Yeah.
How much playmaking does he do?
Yeah.
He can do stuff in the open field, but to go back, Hurts, the rest of them kind of, make sense. They touched a bunch of different areas that they needed, but that Hurts thing, I don't know.
What do you think, Greg?
I hate their picks. I think like their defense was terrible last season.
Awful.
And your first 2 picks are offensive players who, like Jalen Reagor, you could have gotten him way later.
Mm-hmm. Could have gotten in the second.
There's
probably.
better people available. Jalen Hurts, I don't think he's the worst pick ever because I'm not at all sold on Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
But the Eagles have expressed they are sold on Carson Wentz. So
Right.
I just think that that's just a terrible play by the Eagles on both sides. Like, I don't think that they should be, but if they are, you shouldn't be drafting Jalen Hurts at this time if you're actually sold on Carson Wentz. I'm not sold on Carson Wentz's durability. Like, there's a lot of questions I have about Wentz. But, like, it's just mixed signals from the Eagles drafting Hurts. But I don't think he's the worst pick you could have taken because I don't think Wentz is a secure quarterback. He's not your franchise quarterback.
Totally agree.
The linebacker they got, I thought, was fairly disappointing, that Taylor guy. I didn't think he was that great. I thought their best pick was that wide receiver John Hightower late. I forget where he's from. Yeah, I was gonna say he's like one of those little small school guys. But he has, if you watch his highlights, like he's a good player. That tackle, that Driscoll, he's decent. Like to me, their best picks were tackles and a late wide receiver that's decent value. It's like you got to make those early picks count more for what you need. There's too much available for you to be drafting Jalen Reagor and Jalen Hurts for your first two picks.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's what I mean. Like Jalen Hurts, like he's probably gonna play because Carson Wentz gets hurt so much. I don't know. Like it's hard to.
Yeah.
And like I think the value they got him at, like I think that's like, at least they got like decent value. Like I think that's about where he was gonna go.
Yeah, they didn't go high.
It's not like they reached real high for him at least, but it's not like they drafted him in the first round like the Packers. But I don't know. We'll see how it works out. What were you saying, Nate?
They took those three guys. I mean, the Raiders signed, unfortunately, Nelson Aguilar, but they're trying to, correct last year's thoughts on him. Hopefully, one of these three guys. Well, hopefully he doesn't do it, but I think that was their take on that. But the one thing Hurts and Wentz both have is they were both, placed late in the season, the year their teams won titles.
Yeah, true.
By another guy who got paid too.
Yeah, true.
Terrible Spider-Man meme I saw about that. It's funny.
All right, let's roll into a division that's going to be totally up for grabs this year. The AFC East. The AFC East with the Patriots, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Jets. I think the Jets had a pretty solid draft. I think the Dolphins had a really solid draft. I think.
Yes.
What do you guys think about Tua Tagovailoa?
A lot of upside, a lot of risk.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with him. Like, I think he could be an NFL superstar, but he could also just be a total bust. I don't know. He has a lot of it factor, though. I like his charisma. I like how he's like a leader, which is a big, big thing about being a quarterback is how well you lead your team. But I don't know. I can't really fault him for the pick because, I mean, they've been so down. They need somebody like this to, be a superstar. Like if he turns out to be, a really good player, they've got a face of the franchise for the next 10, 15 years, which is like something that the Dolphins haven't had since Dan Marino. So, I mean, I can't really fault their pick, like that pick. They also got that corner from Auburn. And they also got Austin Jackson, that tackle. So you got somebody to at least protect Tua because if you're going to have Tua Tagovailoa, you better have a good line in front of him because, we've seen him be a little injury prone. At least they addressed that, because they need to keep addressing it because they got to keep him upright if they're going to have like any chance of really competing. Because last year was pathetic.
Do they still have Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen on their roster?
They do. Poor Josh Rosen.
Jeez. In the XFL, he has no options.
Yeah. Josh Rosen's just got to go to somebody. I don't even know. Like, just some team that needs, Like maybe the Jaguars or something. I have no idea.
Jaguars, Chargers. I don't know.
Chargers.
What
just
I
got
do
Herbert,
like with the Dolphins is you have a quarterback that's going to start right now and not Tua.
Yeah.
You get Tua, you're allowing him to sit there, and you drafted 3 different offensive linemen.
Mhm. Yep.
My biggest concern for Tua is injuries.
Yep.
Because he's had those ankle surgeries repeatedly. Like, it's all about protecting him. I think Tua, in terms of what you get a great guy. You get with lots of character, with great work ethic. He's got all the talent to be an NFL quarterback, I think. It's just going to be a matter of protecting him, keeping him durable, and not having him starting too quick.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
I think, though, if we're going to talk about that division click, I think that the Bills had a good draft. I think that the Bills will win that division this year.
You think so?
I do. I think that the Bills are a really good team.
Yeah.
And you think they got Stephon Diggs for their first rounder.
Yep.
You got a proven wide receiver that's pretty good. That's a debatable move because if you try to draft somebody, you could get way better. But a lot of those guys aren't going to pan out to be as good as Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, like if they would have stayed there, they could have got Justin Jefferson, which would have been.
Yeah, exactly.
But they got somebody that's proven. They got somebody that's like a proven thing.
But then they got
Ben Smokey Jones, or is that his name? Benjamin Jones?
Yeah.
That's a good one, too.
Yep. And their first pick, they got that AJ Epineza.
Yep, from Iowa.
That DN, he's a good edge rusher. And that's going to be important for them. And that was a good value pick.
At 54.
I thought he would have been gone by then.
A lot of people thought he was even a better end than Chase Young in the Big Ten. As crazy as that is, but
yeah,
on all areas covered, I think he is too. Pure pass rushing, Young hasn't, but this guy's going to be a good pro.
Yeah. And that's something too to keep in mind with these drafts is I think you said it really perfectly. Like Chase Young, in terms of just a pure pass rusher, is a freak. And he's better. But some teams are going to want that because he pairs up with their linebackers better because their linebackers are going to cover better. People will look at their draft and criticize before they really look at what their team has in their linebackers is going to decide a lot of the DNs they draft and stuff like that. Piecing together a team and a playing style. Sometimes you'll sit there and think they kind of reach for that guy. But it's if your team really likes the character and perfect example is the Raiders' first pick with wide receiver. There's better wide receivers on the board, I think, but they like the speed of him. They like his style. And you got to pick the importance of a good locker room in the NFL and in any professional sport is massive. Yep. Massive. You're picking more than just talent.
Yep.
Character.
100%.
Jason Witten. That's why we signed him.
Yeah, seriously.
Put him in there. Help our all-pro Darren Waller just get even better.
100%. And like you said, his character. Jason Witten's character is why he's still in the NFL.
For sure. He's just a leader.
I'd love to transition to the Jets. That Mekhi Becton guy. I don't know if you guys saw Becton's highlight reel.
Oh my gosh,
that even scares me.
Yeah, dude, he's awesome. Great pick by the Jets. You got to keep Sam Darnold up.
They're an interesting build too.
Yeah, I think if anyone's gonna really challenge, I think the Patriots will be there, but I really have no clue what to expect from the Patriots this year. But I think the Jets could contend for the division.
Actually, just because I can officially say this on record, I said this year when he won his first national championship, Trevor Lawrence is the next Patriots quarterback. They are going to do terrible without Brady, and then they are going to draft Trevor Lawrence. It's the most unfortunate thing that's going to happen.
Everyone's going to hate. Everyone's going to be so pissed, but I can just totally see it too, bro.
Name the percentage of teams that don't have their next 4 to 5 year franchise guy. There's like 4 or 5.
Yeah. And he's just going to tank. Like, he's going to tank. He's lost everything. He loses Gronk. He loses Brady. Like, Belichick got Belichicked by Gronk. Every star player that has been, like, great at the Patriots that wants more money and doesn't get it, he has gotten done absolutely dirty by Belichick and sent out to just trash teams to end their careers. Like, it's the craziest thing. And Gronk came back, knew the position that the Patriots are in, forced his hand to sending him to the Bucs.
Yep.
Crazy. Otherwise, they would have been paying him like $10 million, just like that, out to Gronk.
Yeah. Quick back on the Jets, though. I think that their second pick, Denzel Mims, at 59, was a great pick. Like, I think he was a steal. Like, they needed to help like, their defense wasn't that bad last year. They just had no offense at all. Like when Sam Darnold went out for mono, it was like a joke. Like, their offense was like literally a joke. I remember in fantasy football just being like, who are the Jets playing? Because I'm picking up their defense because they couldn't score on anyone. But Denzel Mims is a great pick. I was hoping the Packers could have got him in the second round. But with Beckman, whatever, Mekhi Becton in the first round, and
6'7",
Denzel
364.
Sims. Yeah, and Denzel Sims, like, you just helped your offense a lot. Because Sam Darnold isn't a bad quarterback at all. He's just developing. Like, people trash these guys so much, and like Sam Darnold's been in the league for 2 years, and he's like 21 or 22 years old. Like, he's got a long career ahead of him, and you got to give guys like this weapons. And I think that the Jets did a really good job.
Yeah.
But
my least favorite thing about Sam Darnold is that he's 22 years old and got mono for the first time. What?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
What? How?
Yeah,
How?
dude. I don't know. Who knows, man?
How did you not stumble onto that at UFC's campus?
Right? Like were you pulling a Monte Teo, dating somebody online here
Catfishing.
at USC? Like, it's so weird. It's so weird.
Seriously. All right, let's move on. I got another team. I thought that the Broncos had a really solid draft too. I thought the Broncos had maybe one of the better drafts of the year. They needed a slot guy, and Jerry Jeudy fits right in there too for them. And they didn't even have to trade up at all to get him, which is like great. He fell right to you, fell right in your lap. That's who they wanted. Like, reports before the draft were like, that's who their target was. He fell right into their lap. And then they got your guys' Penn State boy, KJ Hamler in the second round.
Perfect for KJ.
Yeah, what do you guys think about the Broncos draft?
As a Raider fan, I think they nailed theirs. I still am not sold on Jake Locker.
No,
That's
Drew
their quarterback. Drew Lock. Sorry.
Drew Lock. Yeah.
I to me, he's a pro version of Jake Fromm, who I think is hilarious that he got drafted so low. All the Georgia faithful are just up in arms, but when you're compared to Ken Dorsey, that's not good. They're like, so you have a really good team, you have a below average arm, you can understand a playbook, but you're average size. You're Ken Dorsey.
Yeah.
But I think that the Jeudy move for them was great. They lost Emmanuel Sanders, so they needed to pick someone up there.
Yeah.
And the perfect part for KJ is that he had to be the stud at Penn State. He led the country in drop balls last year, but I definitely think him being in an offense where he can be a ball-out number two, just really take his time to work on his game. And they're different types of receivers, so they'll complement each other. But they addressed their defense pretty well, and
they got a corner out of Iowa too, but also with KJ Hamler they have Deshaun Hamilton too, so they got two Penn State guys paired up out there too.
I think that this draft shows. I think they're kind of building their team in a sense, kind of similar with the Ravens. Hear me out before, like, not comparing Drew Lock and Lamar here by any means. But in terms of, like, you got Noah Fant at tight end now. You just drafted Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, and you have Deshaun Hamilton. Like, young guys in all of your skill positions on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, lots of talent, young, exciting guys that if they stay together could really form like a bond, could be something special. And you have two Penn Staters. I really think that Deshaun Hamilton may have had something to do with that pick.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's just going to help your chemistry more and more. They were close. Like, Penn State players have always shown, like, they're a very close-knit group. They always follow each other's careers. And to have two of them in the same wide receiver unit, like, I think that that's going to help.
For sure. I totally agree. I think that division might become stinks for you, Deal, as a Raiders fan, but that's gonna be like the toughest division in football here in the coming years, bro.
Comes with a badge of honor.
Yeah.
It's a good and bad thing.
We've drafted 7 or 8 Clemson players in the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're just. The other thing with those picks too is they keep going after guys that have played, an extra like playoff games, conference titles.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State. Take these guys because they've only played against the best.
Yep.
And all those dudes from Clemson, I mean, God, they should just be buying their own street and making their own neighborhood out in Vegas right now. And I was very happy to see they're going to bring the draft back to Vegas in 2022, give it another run through. Would have been awesome to go out to that, and I intend to go into at least one game in Vegas this year.
Their stadium looks badass.
Yes, it does.
Their stadium looks badass, bro. But like, what do you just touching on the rest of their division? I think the Chiefs do the Chiefs thing. They make a solid pick. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, the rich get richer. Just give Pat Mahomes another weapon. This guy is great catching out of the backfield. He's a tank. He reminds me a little bit of MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew. Just that little bowling ball, like hammer runner, just tough nose runner. And then you got the Chargers. What do you guys think about Justin Herbert and the Chargers?
I don't know what to think of that. His grade throughout the season wasn't awesome. Then he had a great pro day, allegedly, and had an awesome Senior Bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
So his stock went up. The Chargers just seem to be like such a mess of an organization right now. They are the stepbrother to the Rams right now, who had one great year 2 years ago and seemed to kind of digress.
Yeah.
I don't think they made that good of a stride towards everybody else. I think it's funny because a lot of circles, people have said the Chargers had a better draft than the Raiders. And again, like we said, it depends on needs versus overall,
talent.
Flashy pick. But it's going to be a tough year in the AFC West either way.
Yeah, I think it's going to be definitely a tough year for them in the AFC West. I like their picks. I mean, I don't know. Justin Herbert, I like the kid's story a lot. I think he's a kid that, he worked his way up to become the starter at Oregon, won the Rose Bowl for Oregon. His whole life, his dream as a kid was to be – he's always been an Oregon Ducks fan and a San Diego Chargers fan, but from back in the day. So, I mean, when you got that kind of motivation, he clearly can lead a team like he did last year with Oregon to the Rose Bowl. That's a great season for Oregon, especially in recent years. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see him in a few years. I really don't have a beat on him, whether he's going to be great quarterback, bust. I think he could probably be an average to above average quarterback for sure. But we'll see. I mean, he has good weapons out there. He's got Mike Williams. He's got Austin Eckler. He's got why am I blanking on his name? Who's their number one wide receiver? Keenan Allen. Jeez. So he's got good weapons out there to throw the ball to, but just in that division right out of the start, I think it's going to be really tough for him.
Yeah, just the Chiefs defensive draft. All their picks but 2 were offensive players.
Yep, which is good for them.
Yeah, they really, excuse me, they really went out to try to. That was their only. That when you're watching their team go into the playoffs, I definitely thought the Ravens were going to be able to take them just because you're like the Chiefs' defense, unless their offense controls the ball and the clock that much, they're still going to give up points.
Mm-hmm. That's the matchup exactly everyone wants to see, man. The Ravens had that one bad day, and everybody wanted to see it. Everybody wanted to see the showdown with the Ravens and the Chiefs, and we didn't get it this year. But I think next year we're definitely going to get it.
I'd love to argue a point that the AFC West going through Vegas, but we have many years of catching up on that. We still had fans that refused even to humor the idea of Brady coming to Vegas because of the Tuck game. And you're like, from a fan that's looking at just winning, you're like, this guy has it. You really want to put something 20 years ago, in front of us? He only did what the refs allowed him to do.
Yeah, he
I
didn't
don't blame
make the
him.
call.
Exactly. I was open for it the whole time.
Yeah.
Derek Carr, it's time.
Yep.
His time is so done.
It's past.
I wouldn't even, and Mariota's a great option. The weird side thing on us getting him is that Mayock and Gruden, especially Mayock, had a huge, let me use good terms here, he was very high on Marcus Mariota coming out of college.
Yeah.
So this just kind of seems a lot like he saw something in him. And Carr, he's thrown the ball out of the end zone on multiple occasions thinking it was a touchdown.
Yeah.
Like running for the pylon, just that counts, right? I threw it out the end zone. No, what are you doing? What are you doing? You've been a quarterback your whole life. Your brother is a quarterback. You should know.
You should know
His brother's name is David Duke Carr. He's Derek Dallas, and his brother is David Duke.
Stop.
But yeah, I'm dead. It's terrible.
Hey, dude. At least if all else fails, you got big bad Nathan Peterman to throw it back to.
I follow many different blog sites for the Raiders, and that is the biggest anomaly is what is he doing here?
Why is this guy still in the league?
Is he just like someone that stayed in the hotel and housekeeping never kicked him out? We don't know. He's
like the guy from Office Space.
Yeah. As you guys can remember, though, and I'm sure Green Bay had someone like this in the 90s and early 2000s, a guaranteed backup, like how Charlie Batch was in Pittsburgh for like 8 years. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
I think Peterman is just there because Gruden has an insanely savant-style offense. It's nuts. So It takes a lot to learn. So my thought on Peterman is he's there to just keep learning it, that if the day comes where they only have one bona fide quarterback in the stable, he's the number two, and whatever young kid could be number three, but you have someone that knows the whole offense inside and out. So
I hope that day never comes for the Raiders, for all Raiders fans out there.
Buffalo
I hope that day never comes for all you Raiders fans out there. But
we got rid of Deshaun Kaiser in place of Peterman.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Not even. Anyways.
That's terrible. That's pretty much all I have, guys. We ran through a lot of teams, a lot more teams than I honestly thought we'd get to. Do you guys have anyone else you want to talk to? Anything else you'd like to mention about the draft that stood out to you? What you're excited for getting ready for the year, and just at least sports to come back in general?
I'm interested to see, at least with the training camp deadline, especially college.
Yeah.
As I saw there's a map that Columbia County, the whole north central eastern part of the state kind of is going to get to open up sooner.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, if by the end of May the whole state's open, you could safely say by July 1st you can have kids go back to college for athletics. But
I'm hoping nothing gets that altered with this virus, that we can still have everything, because I really want to go to that Ohio State Penn State game this year.
Oh yeah.
But with all that being said, guys, I thank both of you guys for coming on. We'll definitely be on again soon. Both of these guys are going to be a part of my Top 100 Sports Moment 4-part podcast series, guys. So thank you guys both for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, no problem.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Always
anytime.
fun.
But I will catch you guys in the next one, all right?
All right. See you later, guys.
All right. See you
Take
guys.
care.
Yeah, man.
That's the video. I just want to thank my buddies Nate, Eric, and Jason for coming on. I had a great time shooting. It was a great discussion. If you guys thought we got something wrong, you're thinking, John, you crazy, bro. Jordan Love's gonna be a superstar. The Packers had a great draft. Put it down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, your reasoning, everything. So, look out for my top 100 sports moments. It's gonna be coming up in the next week or so. I'm getting ready to shoot that, so stay tuned for that. And with that being said, I love y'all. I'll catch y'all in the next one.